Our reading this morning comes from the Gospel of John. It'll be John 2, 1 through 11, and it is on the back of your bulletin if you'd like to follow along. On the third day, there was a wedding in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine gave out, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, what concern is that to you and me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Now standing there were 6 stone water jars for the Jewish rites of purification, each holding 20 or 30 gallons. Jesus said to them, fill the jars with water. And they filled them up to the brim. He said, "Now draw some out and take it to the chief steward." So they took it. And when the steward tasted the water that had become wine and did not know where it came from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew, the steward called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves the good wine first, and then the inferior wine after the guests have become drunk. But you have kept the good wine until now." Jesus did this, the first of his signs, in Cana of Galilee, and revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. I love this. And you know, it's a joyful time. It's a wedding, an impression. All the major players in this story, the wedding of Cana, are instruments in God's revelation. They are each an epiphany. From Mary to Jesus, to the wine steward, to the disciples, they all reveal God with us. Let's start with the story. Now, Jesus, his mother, and the disciples are invited to this wedding feast, which they attend. They're having a grand old time partying, as you should at weddings. And when it comes to Mary's attention, they've run out of wine. Well, the wedding is a feast, and wine was a very important component of hospitality and how the ancient Israelites shared that hospitality. How can you continue to feast without any wine? So Mary, the mother of Jesus, the one who will say to her son, "They have no wine." Jesus, her son, answers, "Woman, what concern is that to you and to me? Well, my hour has not yet come." Wonder what Mary thought about Jesus and his hour and his time has not yet come. And so she obviously didn't give that a second thought. She said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." I think she sounds just like a mother. Now, this was a patient woman who was not going to take no for an answer. And what does the hour and the friends and the family and all this have to do with new wine or needing wine? Well, she just saw a need and decided her son could fill it. And she was going to have him resolve that problem. Now, how many of you have had mothers or have mothers? Yeah, okay, here we are. Maybe you'll all be able to relate to this story. A mother, well into her 80s, was talking to her son. We were all over there one Sunday afternoon. The son is easily in his mid-60s. We all call him Bill. She calls him William. Yep. And she said, "William, would you tell me why those roofers across the street insist on starting at 7 a.m. in the morning?" And he said to her, "Well, they're trying to get the roof on before it rains." And he looks at his mother and goes, they really want to get going. She goes, "Could you please explain to me, William, why they had to do it this morning? You know what day it is. It's Sunday, 7 a.m. in the morning." He looks at her and he goes, "Mama, I'll do something about it." He writes down the name of the company. He writes down their phone number. He's also a contractor, by the way. So he said, "Don't worry about it. I'll look into it. Your mother is your mother is your mother. There is no getting around it, no matter how old you are. Mothers expect children to respond when there is a need." How many of you have ever gotten a call from your mom? "Hi," I can remember this one. "Hi, Abby had to take the baby into the hospital." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll meet you there." I mean, it was just a given. Or, somebody needs something. You just knew that you were on call. There you go. Mary expected Jesus to take care of the wine problem for these newlyweds who obviously underestimated the amount of wine they would need for their wedding feast. And Jesus, like our friend Bill, Jesus went into action. He told the servants to fill the nearby purifying jugs. Now, there were 6 of them. And did you hear how many gallons they all hold? I mean, it was like, how many did they say? 20 to 30 gallons. Do you think they really needed 6 jugs of 20 to 30 gallons of wine? That's a lot of wine. I don't care. That's a lot of wine. They filled them all. There you go. So anyways, and these were very specific jugs. They held the water for purification, which meant if you had to cleanse yourself before you ate, everybody was always, so you always had a reason why you were washing and cleaning and doing all these things. If you had been to, around the dead, you purified yourself, and you did all this. You needed this water. So to have them go and fill up all these jugs and turn it into wine, I'm like, whoa, okay. Well, the wine steward was pretty impressed, let's face it. When Jesus told him to take some wine to the steward, he said, wow, he complimented the bridegroom. He said, most people save, serve all the good wine first, then when everybody's drunk, then they serve the cheap wine, the wine that's not so good. And the disciples, they believed, they see Jesus doing this miracle, and they're like, wow, Jesus turned water into wine. Let's face it, that is pretty amazing. So Jesus uses each to reveal God's presence in our world.